Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Catherine, the Big Vision Coach, and welcome to day number 7 of Find Your Vision. What a beautiful journey this has been. And today I want to share with you a little bit of some simple steps to help you connect to your vision. And when I read these, I thought, well, that's really similar to what I do. This is a beautiful model and it's very simply broke down. This was how I kind of start teaching my kids. This is how I learned myself, and so I want to share some ideas about finding your vision that you can start applying right away. Let's get to it. Hey, before we do, I want to be sure and mention that if you are watching by Facebook or Instagram, to be sure and like the StreamYard app. It's either um, this side of the screen or it could be above in the description. And if you are watching on YouTube, I can just see your comments. But I definitely want to see your comments and questions, get your feedback. Okay. And let's say, good morning, Miss Lenora. And we have some other folks on, so be sure and like the StreamYard app. Okay. And then hey, Dino, thanks for joining. And again, hi, Miss Lenora. And we have a few more folks who are jumping on. So, but we're going to jump right into this today. Okay. So, this is the lens that we have been looking through this week on Find Your Vision. And this is the quote from the incredible Arnold Schwarzenegger. And earlier this week, I realized I waxed on a little bit long about Arnold, and I didn't realize what a huge fan I had become of his work. You know, he's been famous forever, but I believe it's the older, gentler, wiser statesman version of Arnold that I am really finding that I'm aligning to and appreciating. Okay, so here's the quote. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to have a very clear vision, and you've got to have the fire in your belly and go out and not be shy with working because it takes a lot of work. And don't be afraid of work. We have this idea about ease and flow and grace and joy. And the idea is this, that you're really, yeah, there's going to be effort and you have to bump up against your capacity, your limiting beliefs. You have to stretch your muscles, build up your strength and your resolve. And that does take effort because you aren't just working for the thing. You are also in the process of personal growth, and you're busting out of a paradigm that is very comfortable. It's called your comfort zone, even though there's a lot of pain and it feels limiting. Everything that you've created up until this moment, every thought, every experience, everything that you've all your interrelationships, I mean, every single thing in your experience, in every sphere of your life, your beliefs about it, the actions you took, you didn't take, have created this moment. Okay. And so, right now, even if it's uncomfortable, I have clients say this all the time, it's better to stay with the devil you know than the angel you don't know. And this is kind of like a base operating belief. People will stay in pain even if they go, this isn't working, I don't like it. The ego is so attached to your current reality and your paradigms and reasons and beliefs and everything else. It's hard to let it go. And you've got to allow yourself space to create something new. We talk about this all the time. And you've got to learn to get comfortable with discomfort. And when you first start learning to vision, I do want to tell you this. When you start really tapping into your potential and the opportunities, and you start seeing that bigger picture, and first you start seeing the truth of not only your greatness, but the truth of your situations and your choices up until now, it's hard. It can be hard. We go, what was I thinking? Right now, seems to be this contraction in the world, in the market. We have some big challenges. And right now it'd be easy to say, 5 years ago, why wasn't I doing the thing? oh, why didn't I see? What I didn't know then, right? Well, back then you were absolutely doing what was possible, what you believed to be true. But now, just because you have a new idea about what is possible, it's not necessarily appropriate to beat up your past self. You have to say, wow, there was the opportunity. What in me was not willing to go that next step? What was stopping me at the time? Okay, you've got to really be willing to look at that. But we're not talking about that today. And belief work is a very big, important part of, connecting to your vision and to be able to create it. But a lot of times it does take pain, that emotional pain. It takes a little creating discomfort before we really move forward. So rather than spend that time like beating yourself up and whipping yourself, why don't you whip up a new vision? Okay. And we don't have the past. We can't recreate the past, but we can learn from it and we can heal it. We can forgive it. We can and then we're able to get that resolved and reintegrated and take the learning and let go of the pain. Okay. So what we have is now. So let me ask you a question. If it's true now, when you look back on your past and you go, wow, there were opportunities that I missed. I had some beliefs. I had some situations that I was allowing and not taking control of. Um, I was unwilling. I got afraid. If you can look back now with an open heart and an open mind and see, yeah, there was opportunity all around me, but there was something at the time preventing me, right? And you realize how much money you left on the table, or you stepped over, or you outright rejected. How many opportunities you said no to verbally and you never even allowed to come into you, never allowed to be entertained. If you can see and know that now, doesn't it make sense that there would be a time, maybe 5 years in the future, that you would look back on now and go, wow, I was all freaked out about the political situation. I was really upset about what was going on in the economy. I could not get over the idea of how much gas was costing, or to buy a new car, or how much houses were. I could not get my head wrapped around a solution, and I allowed those outer circumstances to stop my potential. Doesn't it make sense that in the future you might look back with this other lens, because in the future you'll have more resources, you'll have that, blessed 2020, right? Hindsight's 2020. Of course. So how can we connect to that? Through vision. We can connect in to that 5-year future self. And this is why learning to vision is so important. And more importantly, there's 2 phases of visioning. One, you do need to be in that creative space, but then you need to turn it into a strategic working plan. And we've talked about this in the Commanding Wealth program, that we use the Disney strategy a lot, which is where we go into pure creative mode. Then we go into the realistic, strategic, practical thinking, and then we go into the critical thinking. And then I've shared some other ways that you can do that. And I teach my clients that all the time, either in my one-on-one coaching, and I do have a brand new um, Create Your Vision program that I'm going to be announcing real soon. So we do have that. Those are the phases. But first, you've got to really get present to here and now, and you've got to be able to open your mind to a greater possibility than what you are seeing, feeling, and knowing right now through your 5 senses. I mean, if you think about it, everything that you know and experience now, everything that you've created up until now, has been based upon your perspective. It's been based upon your belief system. And here's something really interesting. We think, we're very often taught, we have this belief, then we go out in the world And then um, the world that we see is a mirror of what our inner belief system is. But then the other part of that is, in order to have a new belief system, you have to go out into the world and have new experiences so that you can test and form new beliefs. That's like when I told the story about when I was driving down the road and I saw this mural that I just really loved. And I had this thought about, gosh, I'm moving away from Dallas and I'm really going to miss that. I'm never going to see that again. And because I was in a more open space, suddenly I asked, why is that true? Why do I think I'm never going to get to do this again, be here again and have the freedom to go to places and be in spaces that bring me love and joy? And if I'd been in a closed, limited way of thinking, I would have just accepted that idea. But I was in an open space to where I actually had room mentally and emotionally to entertain a new idea. And we're talking like in less than 5 minutes, because I asked that one question about that one experience, it wound up unraveling a lifetime belief system that changed everything, that really and truly opened my potential about not just, hey, experiences I wanted to have and the places I wanted to go, but how I could actually build and maintain loving, supportive relationships. Because for me, relationships really were kind of more situational based. I really didn't have those long relationships. This is why this is so important. Okay, so that's just laying the groundwork. Let's just check in right quick. So let's see who's here. Good morning, Mr. David. All right, let's move on. So we want to tune into this idea about that very clear vision. Okay, how can we get that? A very, very clear vision. Well, this is a creative process. Okay, and I want to just tell you a little bit about the amazing Brian Scudamore, who's the founder and CEO of 100 Got Junk, and he owns several other companies. And his story is that, he started 100 Got Junk in college, and he was able to build up his company fairly quick. He found a niche fairly quick, but his company had hit this wall, and it was like he hit this $1 million mark. Now I know you and I might go, $1 million, poor guy. $1 million a year, is that all? Well, that was revenue, but that wasn't necessarily profit. And it doesn't matter whenever you hit whatever your income wall is, it is very painful because there is something within you that says you have a greater capacity. And he knew that there was a capacity and there was a possibility of doing more. And he was finding that no matter what he did to make his company grow, I mean, this is a person who really has always invested in his mind and his skill set. He's always brought in experts. He's a very fast learner. He's all about systems. But everything that he knew to do simply was not working. And there was something in him that wanted to express to a greater degree. So he needed to just take some time, and he was out visiting his parents, and he was out at their property. I don't know if I think he was either like on the dock or on their back porch or something. And he just got to thinking about his company, and he was actually feeling really depressed. And this is pretty common, that just before that period of growth, there's this feeling of depression and failure. And it doesn't matter if it's physical growth, emotional growth, if you're growing in your relationship, if you're growing in your capacity, just before that moment, you do feel down. Okay. And what's happening is you've kind of bumped against your wall and you're starting to question yourself. But then what happens when you're questioning yourself, you're starting to do what's called a TransDerivative Search, and you're starting to go inside and really start examining, okay, because you've put your mind on finding a solution, Okay. So that's what he was doing. And then he just said, well, what do I want? What do I really want? And his process is called paint a picture. He named it that. And he just started visioning and creating this idea. He's like, and he kind of started getting excited about what he's seeing. So he grabbed a notebook and he started writing everything out and drawing pictures. And by the time he was done, he looked at what he had created on what his vision was. And when he looked at it, he said, this is doable. This is totally doable. And he was able to take that vision and take it back to his company. And they were, with his team, they were able to work out the strategic part of it. And then his company grew from $1 million company to $1 billion company. Okay, and so he talks about this in Forbes in the description, in the comments. I'll be sure and put the link to the Forbes article that you can read it. But he's an amazing guy. So I wanted to share with you a little bit about what his process is, and then I'm going to explain how does this tie back to the one command, and how can you take what this mental creative process was, and then take that idea and expand it to an idea even greater that serves more good, but also to create that inner alignment. Because I don't know if you're like me, I like you, but I am an amazing idea person, but I have not always been a great at creating what is ideal and creating a working plan for it. And so I have to give space to all my ideas, but then I have to keep aligning back to what is ideal. Okay. And so that's a little bit of a distinction. And it is important, like once you get in that creative mode, you want to get all of that out of you and then you can take a look at it. Okay. But we talk about it in the visioning class. Okay. All right. So here's Brian Scudmore's little thumbprint of his, or thumbnail of his process. It comes down, one is three parts: retreat, visualize, ask. So he modeled exactly what he did that day. He discovered his vision. He took time away, he took space. He got away from the office, he got away from a lot of the obligations, and he gave himself some energetic and emotional space by changing his environment. Getting in nature, getting into a beautiful space makes a huge difference. And in fact, if you've just got smaller things you're wanting to visualize or think about, that's why I said, hey, I love taking a drive. I like going to Starbucks when I really want to start breaking down and getting strategic, because I'm around all these people who are in this problem solving mode, and I'm able to kind of tap into that energy. I'm very much empathic and reflective, and so that helps me. So you got to get into a space to where you're in an environment where you can be nurtured and relaxed and in more expansive state. Then a lot of times we go into visualization. A lot of people have trouble picturing exactly. In fact, I was shocked to find out that people didn't picture. Here's a little tip. I always tell people to picture, visualize, or imagine what it is that you would like. Because a lot of people know how to imagine something, but first they may talk to themselves about it, and then the picture comes up, or they may have a feeling about it, then they say something, and then they're able to start formulating that image. Okay, now that is submodalities, and that takes a little bit of time sometimes to learn how you actually create. And guess what? You can learn to model someone else's creative process. And if you're not a good visualizer, you can train your mind to visualize. It just takes some practice. And it starts with maybe memory, imagining. And I walk people through that a lot in a lot of my courses and working one on one. And then asking the question, And so he starts asking questions, and then there's some specific things. But hey, let's start with this. What do I want? What do I want? And what I'm uncomfortable. I feel like I'm going to imagine I know what he asked, and it was why not why can't I get past $1 million? He didn't say why can't I get past making $1 million. He said how can I break through the $1 million barrier? How can I? If it were easy or if it were simple to break through the $1 million barrier, what would I know? How would I do it? If I were, living that multi-million-dollar, if I had a company producing that, let's say in 5 years, like if he wanted to take it, like probably at the time he didn't think about $1 billion company, but he probably was thinking about you know, a $50 million company. So if I had a $50 million company, what would that look like? What would my, and then start the teams, and what would the teams and support, and what would that business model? And that's more that strategic, right? And so here are the key points that he taught. Number one, what he discovered is that a clear vision correlates to company success. Now, this is true again for anything you want to do, anything that you want or need. A clear vision is going to happen. If you want to have divine health and you're, sick of it being stiff. I mean, like right now, literally, I said it is time because I've done everything I know to do to get this hip situation that's keeping me from exercising and walking and being as physical as I like. I said, apparently there's something I need to know. So guess what I did? I finally scheduled a doctor's appointment. It was like, oh yeah, I have an amazing insurance. So I had to ask for the help, but I had to have a clear vision, not just of, hey, I don't like being in pain and I'm getting older. It's this or that or the other. Welcome to your 60s. No, no. Hey, if I had a healthy, flexible body, what would it look like? What would I be able to have, be, or do? Right? How much more fun could I have? How would that impact my family? How would that help my business? How could I serve at a greater level? So you can ask those same questions about your health, relationships, your business, um, the impact that you want to make. So having that clear vision correlates to success on every level. Okay. What happens is the more you go into the details, and you have to train your brain to learn to visualize and how to stay with it and not get distracted. And then once you get clear, how to turn that into a clear plan of action, and then how to develop the strategies, and then what are the measurements. There are clear steps. There's 6 clear steps. Actually, I believe there's 7 clear steps. But unless you know those steps and those stages, you won't know where you're getting bogged down. And that's why working with a coach who understands this and knows how to hold that space for your vision and remind you of your vision can help you. Okay. So when you visualize the plan, here's the big picture. Then you start visualizing the plan itself, and it's actually 2 sessions. First is the creative, the second is strategic. And he recommends you do those in different spaces. One, he's out in nature and I'm in this beautiful, amazing space. Then he went back with the plan. He went back to he went back to his team. And he said, guys, let's get out of this building where we normally work, and let's do a retreat. But the retreat is specifically for coming up with a strategic plan so that he could get himself and his team unanchored and make sure that they're undisturbed, but also unanchored from the environment, so that they can get into more a creative space and get more collaborative and get everybody on board with one idea. So it's really important. The next is telling stories will change the brain. So often we keep our vision inside of our head, We keep it secret. And there's two schools of thoughts on this, okay? One, you're telling your story to everybody, right? And then what happens is people go, that's not going to happen. If that were possible, everybody'd be doing it. Or what makes you think you're good enough? Or our people have never done that. Or what experience do you have? Who do you think you are? And then you find that you're defending your plan or your vision rather than getting alliance for it. The other school of thought, and this is what I believe in, this is why it's important to create a success team, have a coach, get into a coaching group that they're all working on similar things and that they can actively support you. Okay. And when you're telling this story, you're telling it from 2 degrees. First, you're saying, I will. What are you doing? Hey, I will create this company. I am creating $1 million company now. I don't know how. This is the one command. And it's like, well, what makes you, what are you planning on doing? I will do this. You're activating, when you say I will, you are activating your willpower that's located in the frontal lobe. When you say I don't know how, I only know it so now, you're activating your whole brain. So you want those two to work together. Okay, the creative, your whole brain, and all your skills, resources, abilities, and um, activate all the parts of you to align to your goal. But then the frontal lobe is that long term planning, and you're starting to create cohesion. You've got to think that way when it comes down to who you're talking about your plan to or whatever, and how you're talking about it. But you'll speak about it, and someone says, "I don't think you could do it." It's like, I will do this. Don't worry, I will do it. Okay, and then you've got to speak out loud, and this is a key piece that Brian said. He said you've got to tell your story to yourself. You've got to talk about it. You've got to talk about it to your team. When Asara Lovejoy and I were first talking about commanding wealth seminars, the global One Command Corporation, first it was just, hey, we're so excited about this class that she designed. Hey, and then there's this technique, let's bring it down to there. But then this greater vision exploded. And we talked about what that looked like all the time. We shared that vision, we imparted it to people that we wanted to work with. And we got a lot of people on board. But we talked to each other about it all the time. We had it clearly written, we knew what the map was, and we held that space and we committed our thoughts daily. We did daily one commands, we did planning sessions around it, we did everything to support the vision, not just to be get out of survival. In fact, that was probably the biggest challenge, is not go into survival mode thinking, how are we making money this week, but what are we doing today to align to that vision, right? And we would speak to each other and keep encouraging. And you've got to find someone to do that with, okay? So telling the stories literally rewire your brain, okay? And then in telling the stories, a lot of times information and details are going to pop up that you didn't realize that were there. You were like, and sometimes you feel like you're almost channeling, okay? One more little point. In the one command circles, what we do in the circles is so powerful, is that we will speak to each other what our command is. And so let's say yours is to create a business that generates $2 million a year. So you would speak to the group. I don't know how. I created a company that easily generates $2 million income a year or revenue a year. I only know I do now, and I am fulfilled. And that person speaks it to the group. Here's the next thing that happens in the group. Every person in the group, and it's usually the group of 4 to 6, affirms back to that person individually. And they would say, if it's Mary, I absolutely know that you now have a company that is easily generating $2 million a month or more, and I support you. You know what wound up happening? As each person said that, the energy started growing, and it sounded almost like people were like prophesying. They started speaking life and messages and downloads started coming in. It was incredible. I want to mention, if you're in the Dallas Fort Worth area in September, a really good friend said, Catherine, I've got a house that I need someone to house sit for a few weeks, and I don't know if you'd be interested in hosting classes there or seeing clients. You would be certainly welcome to. And I was like, you don't know, I've actually been actively looking for a place in Dallas to teach some classes. So if you're in the Dallas Fort Worth area, or you want to come have that experience, stay in touch with me, and I'll make sure you're on the list to get invited to that. Okay. All right. So speaking, affirming back, I absolutely no. And you know what you can do too? You can speak your vision into the mirror if you don't know who else to talk to. Okay. I am now creating a multi-million dollar company that has a major impact in the world, is transforming lives and empowering people to fulfill their soul's mission and be financially supported, and supported in all the ways they want, need, or desire now. I don't know how. I only know it's so now, and I am fulfilled. Okay. So that, woo, did you get excited? Yeah, you going, yes, I am, right? Okay. So then finally, make that picture as detailed as possible so that it's easier to get others to commit to and be willing to make sacrifices for it, because you're going to. But when you're working with people and you're building your team, they need to know what the big picture is. They need to know why it is, and they need to know how what they're doing aligns to it. Okay. And then not just sacrifice for your good, speaking to some big corporations there, but hey, when they align to your vision, it becomes something even greater. Okay. So we would definitely want to reward people for that. You have to excuse me 1 second. I'm on my call. You're going to have to go. I've got Carolyn who's with me right now. I'm sorry, I can't talk to you right now, baby. Okay.
Can I make myself some waffles?
No, I'm talking right now, sweetie.
Can I make
Okay.
myself some waffles?
Sweetie, hang on just a minute. I'm very sorry. Her mother sent her over. I'm Nana babysitting today. Okay. So we've got a few more minutes. But anyway, those are his main points. All right. So I would love to get your feedback. Has this been valuable so far? Anybody get any ahas, any ideas? Okay. Hi. Okay. All right. So if you want to be able to get that clear vision, that crystal clear vision, and you don't know how, and you don't know how to take it from a vision to an active plan, what can we do? What could we do? What could we do? I know, let's do a one command statement around it, right? So let's just start with, I don't know how. I have a crystal clear vision and the perfect plan to fulfill it. I only know I do now, and I am fulfilled. Oh, oh, well, we're just going to go right with that. Let's go for it. And go into the 6 steps of the one command. Let's just take a deep breath. Breathe in. Feel your connection to the earth and the earth's connection to you. Yeah, just settle into your body. There we go. Bring your attention to your heart as you're aligning to your purpose. There's something you want to do. You do have a chief aim. What is that? Align to that right now. Now, you might not know exactly how, you may not know what it looks like, but you've got maybe a pretty good idea. Just align to that right now. We're going to start in the heart. Focus on your heart. Remember, I said that in your solar plexus, your heart, and your mind are three neurological centers. You have a brain. Your wisdom is in your heart. So just tune into your heart and just make the statement, I don't know how. I have a clear vision of what to do and the perfect plan to execute it. I only know I do now and I am fulfilled. I don't know how I unlock the secret to making my vision a reality. I only know I do now and I am fulfilled. Now, very slightly, I want you to shift your attention very lightly. Just lift your chin, eyes closed, roll your eyes up. Picture, visualize, or imagine that you are traveling up a pole of light. The higher you go, the faster you go. Soon you find yourself surrounded by the beautiful, velvety black void in space. And just break through the darkness into the light of pure, open potential. Eyes up. And we're going to state that same command. I don't know how. I have a crystal clear vision of what I want to create. I only know I do now and I am fulfilled. I don't know how. I have the perfect plan to fulfill my vision. I only know I now have the key to unlock that vision. And I am fulfilled. And just let your eyes relax. Let that expand out to an idea even greater that serves more good and its fulfillment. Let it go, let it go, let it go. And now just feel yourself coming back down into your body. We're going to unwind, unwind, unwind. Rewind, rewind, rewind. There we go. And what we're unwinding is our limiting beliefs, our programming, everything that does not align to this greater thing that we want to create. What we are allowing to rewind and integrate is our literal DNA and our neurology to align and support our vision. And just check in. And I know that you probably have a big goal, you have a big challenge ahead of you. But when you think about creating a vision and that possibility, that greater potential, what do you know now that you didn't know before? We always encourage everybody, you can open your eyes, is afterwards you always want to be sure and keep a journal, make notes, because right now you're open and you're getting all these creative ideas. Okay, write everything down, like just let yourself do a brain dump. I use my phone and I have text to memo, and I do these. I just speak right into it because I'm verbal, and I can speak faster than I can talk, and I get it out, and I get it out. I have a particular place I keep these ideas, then go back and take a look at it and go, which one keeps kind of popping up, and then once you figure that out, then that's you'll know what to focus on. Once you know what to focus on, commit to it, even though you don't know how, even if you feel like, there's too much to do, you're not sure. Don't worry about everything to do. Focus on, just like when I told the story about Carolyn, how do you want to feel? How will you feel once it's complete? Because we want to start from that state of being. Then what does success look like? And then we break it into some big chunks, and then we start taking action. Okay, so spend some time with that. Dedicate your time to that. Okay, your vision is worth it. Your wants, needs, and desires are worth it. You have everything you need within you right now to fulfill your vision. You have it right now. In fact, you have some things within you that you didn't even know that was just waiting to express. And so I hope that this has been beneficial to you. I would love to get your feedback. If you want to know more about working with me, please be sure. And at the end of this, I'll share the link with you, but it's also in the description. Let's set up a time to talk about what your dream or your challenge is, and then let's talk about how we can, you know, what is possibly stopping you from connecting to that vision. And then if it looks like it's a good fit for us, then I'll invite you to work with me. You could also just pop a message right into the messenger and give me a shout right now, and I will we'll set up a time to talk right away. We might even be able to do it on Facebook. Okay. All right, my love. I appreciate you so much. And oh, wait. What do we do? 7 step inspired action. Be ready for that idea, that inspiration, or that opportunity. And then you just go for it. Okay? All right, my love. I'm going to let you go. Until next time, this is Catherine Perry, the Big Vision Coach, and I witness your mastery. Bye bye, everybody.